Oh yeah. Bring the chat back up. There we go. Just in case. Whoa. Looks like we're live. Awesome.
We are live.
Uh-oh, I don't want to piss off Rick Beato. Let me take my headstock tuner off.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Hit me some chords, Jonathan.
If I can. There we go. Nice. Hello, my name is Jonathan.
And I'm Sean.
And welcome to OnlyFrets.
You're live in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So here we are with our first official day change to Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific time. It worked out really well last time accidentally, but we're going to try it on purpose for real. So welcome. If I don't think anybody's in the chat right now, but
not yet.
No viewers.
We're
talking to ghosts.
Perhaps this was a poor decision, but we'll see.
Maybe we'll see. Oh, buddy.
Jonathan, what are you holding there?
So something that I did a video on not that long ago. This is the Silvertone. I think it's called the 1373 baritone. So tuned B to B. Sounds absolutely crisp and juicy. Playing chords like that all day long. One of my favorite things to do. Lipstick pickups, three-way switch, yada, yada, yada. The best finish I've ever seen. Sparkly silver.
Yeah.
Got a video on that. You can check it out.
I immediately went on to the website that you had linked in, like while I was watching the video, I was like also shopping for Silvertone guitars because I just love, I don't know. I like the Harmony Silvertone, I think there's another brand that Dan Electro kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But the price on the Silvertone just seems to be better than, a Harmony. I know Harmony's like made in the US, so that's, rightfully more or justifiably more expensive. But the Silvertone is like the price is right on those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they got like, what is it? They got the silver. I think they have was it a red finish? I can't remember. And then they have the really pretty blue finish, which I was like, oh boy. Yeah. But the silver just was like, yeah.
I mean, it pops.
It does, yeah. What do you got there, buddy? Looks like a little.
I got an old shiny.
Oh, shiny.
P90 JA kit guitar from Harley Benton.
Are they actually P90 or are they Jazz Bastard pickups? Because apparently
these are actually P90s. So actually, the kit shipped with P90s. This has had 3 different sets of pickups in it. It had the OG ones from Harley Benton, which were not like, they weren't even, so for the kit guitars, everything's super inexpensive.
Right.
It was like $105 for the whole kit, everything, like all the bridge, tailpiece, I mean, all of it. And so anyway, I put in some slick 57s, which are nice. From Guitar Fetish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And those were pretty good, but the bridge pickup was so weak on it. I don't really know if I got like a randomly bad one or whatever, but it was just really quiet. The neck sounded awesome, and then I finally spent some decent money on these Planet Tone.
Right.
Where's my volume?
They rip, my man.
And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so they rip. Sounds good.
Yeah, they're really nice. And then this I ordered with the Guitar Fetish pickups when I ordered them, the GFX or GFS X. What's it called? The X Trem. And pretty nice, like drop in. So it just mounts to the posts for the regular tailpiece.
Right.
It mounts to the tailpiece posts and has some rollers on it and stuff. And it's really nice. I like it quite a bit. I think Ryan at 60 Cycle Hum also reviewed one and he did not like it, but he also has access to like really nice drop-in tremolo stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, this was the right price and it does the job. The guitar's a little neck heavy, but it gives it just enough balance to where it doesn't feel cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Call me crazy. Neck heavy stuff or like neck dive has never really been an issue for me. Like I mean, unless it's like abhorrently terrible, like if you just got like the lightest body SG in the world, but it's never been like a problem for me. But there's always people in my comments all the time. Does it got neck dive or is it neck? And I'm like, I guess maybe
you literally hold it.
Right. You're holding it. I know if you're standing up, but it's like you are constantly at least supporting it like this. Like, what are you doing? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can get the argument.
If you're on stage and you have to do a hand clap and you're so short that your SG, if you're like Angus Young's height,
right?
You know, I guess maybe then you could consider, you know, putting some magnets in your routing. They have these like weights that you can stick on in the back to like fix neck dive or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm with you. I just never really cared about it that much. It's like, I'm going to hold it. It's going to be on a strap or I'm going to be in my lap holding it. It's not going to fall out of my hand. You know?
People will complain either way. That's all good. But anyway.
We got Jimmy Biter over in the comments section on my channel. You got anybody visiting us?
Hey, buddy Jimmy. How you doing?
Yeah.
So, you actually have a different topic on your title than I do, but it's both. We're going to try to talk about both topics. I guess we'll start with yours because yours is probably the most. Well, they're both kind of clickbaity, but yours is a maybe niche-ish reference.
Yeah. So I watched a Music Is Win video a long time ago, one of his guitar collection videos, and he's like, bass belongs in the bathroom, and he like hangs his little viola bass up in his ensuite bathroom, and I always just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I always thought that was. It's funny. I mean, it's just a little strange thing. It's like, here's all my guitars. I know you're by the toilet, and there's my bass, but it is what it is. It's because bass has ass in it.
Yeah. Well, it does have ass.
I was gonna say, watch my views go down now because I said that from 1 to 0.
Well, right as you said that, Brian from Searching for Tone showed up. So apparently he heard you across the universe and said, "Bass has ass. I gotta check this out."
Well, so with that topic, how are you wanting to address that? Because that was your idea.
So I just find I was talking with one of my other YouTube buddies, the UB, the other day on one of his live streams. He was doing actually a backing track for me, which I ended up recording a solo over.
Right.
And while he was recording that backing track, he was talking about how he records bass, and he just puts a pitch shifter. He does everything via plugins.
Yeah.
And he just puts a pitch shifter plugin and drops it down, 2 octaves or whatever to get to bass octave. And he just records bass, on his guitar. And I don't own a bass, but you've owned several basses throughout the years. You have your go-to, your Jackson, right? Short scale bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, that little bad boy right there. It's
so cool.
Really nice bass. I use this thing on everything. It's the only bass that I had for the longest time. But yeah, I've had a handful of them recently.
Yeah, and you just did the video on that.
Yeah, the Stritch
sounded great.
P bass. Yeah, this thing's awesome. Came out of the box. Set up, ready to play. the only gripe, man, is that fingerboard is just so dry. Like the frets are in good shape. They could probably use a little polish, but man, that fretboard just is so dry. And it's not. I think it's the material that it's made out of. I have no idea what kind of wood it is. If it is even wood, it's probably that.
I don't think anybody probably does.
Right, unless it's like that Rich Light stuff. But I don't know if that's more expensive to use or if that's like a cheaper alternative. Or because once you darken it up, like once you put the oil on it, as with the Stritch guitar, I mean, it just is like it's pretty, but it's just I don't know. Either way, and then you got like my baritone, which you don't really use that as a bass. That's more of like a layering tool, if anything.
Sure.
That's just kind of the way. I mean, unless you're like Mark Tremonti, where you'll write songs with the baritone and it's just beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. It kind of, I think a baritone sits more in between like a bass and a guitar, but the bass definitely is something that if it's missing, you'll know it. You'll know if a song is missing a bass, whether it's a backing track or recorded thing. I mean, let's take Injustice for All, that entire album, missing bass. It's like,
right.
You crave something extra from it.
Yes.
Hashtag Injustice for Jason. But yeah, no, the bass is so important. I don't care what anybody says. It's probably the most important part of any song. I don't care. Sue me.
It's the bass.
It's the bass. Yeah.
B-A-S. It's the bass. I have been like, I've gone back and forth for years at this point about getting a bass. I've looked at, speaking of short scale, I've looked at those like Squire Mini basses, like
those are cool
or
too.
like a Bronco or something like that.
Those are cool.
I thought about getting something like that to where I can just slap some bass on a thing, not literally slap some bass because I'm a terrible bassist, but put some bass on a track or whatever. A lot of times I'll jump through hoops to not own a bass, and I don't know why. Like I'll rather go on GarageBand and pull up the fake bass and like write a bass line on GarageBand, and it's like this would be so much easier if I could just play.
You look at it this way, though. I mean, it's like, do you do that with drums? Most people do that with drums, and it's a lot easier. Well, with drums, I know it's a bit of a different story because you have the entire kit. But yeah, I mean, if you're not a drummer, but you have an idea of kind of what you want, as long as you're not making it like an octopus is playing, I mean, you can get some pretty decent results out of drums and all that kind of stuff. But with bass too, if you're not over there like, acting like you got 10 arms and you're over there on the bass, I mean, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. That kind of goes into the whole, can you cheat at music thing, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Sounds good. Hey, it sounds good.
I mean, but I really, this is more of like something against my own thought process. Like really, it's like a slight against myself, which is like, just buy a bass, like just have a bass so that when you record stuff, you have bass on it. That's easy. And, and just, I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but your video kind of made me think, it's like, man, for sub $200,
right? Why
are you not owning a bass right now? Or even Harley Benton has loads of different bass options. Like if I wanted something a little funkier or a little, more out there, right. They have a ton. But I just don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger on a bass yet. I probably will at some point here because I've got some people that want me to do some backing tracks for them and stuff like that. And, it will be nice to just have some bass. But I will say UB's trick about doing the pitch shifting, it is a good option. Like if I couldn't afford a bass.
Didn't Jack White do something similar to that on Seven Nation Army?
Sure.
Didn't he do that? I mean, it worked out fine. I mean, it's one of the most recognizable songs in the world. So,
right.
With lack of bass. But yeah, I mean, the only option, not to say the only option, but the only thing you really got to consider with a bass is like what I deal with is, to me, short scale is a lot more comfortable to play. It's not that I can't or don't prefer either one or do prefer one or the other. it's just as a guitar player, it's so close in scale length, which is kind of like where the baritone comes in. It's a little bit longer, but it's not so foreign, at least to me, because it kind of sits on par with that short scale bass. I think that this is actually maybe a tad bit longer, but it's not, when you get into the game of inches, it's like, it doesn't really matter all that much.
Yeah. Agreed.
Or at least like half inches and stuff, but yeah. Anyway.
Nice. So I just feel like if you're doing, for me, from my perspective, and Ubi just jumped in the chat right as we were talking about him, which is pretty funny. Shout out to Tim Bad Boy Mulligan as well for jumping in. But I just feel like if I'm gonna be making music for YouTube, if I want to avoid just doing like on my Friday night lives, I like to do the backing track thing where they're all already done by somebody else, and that's cool. Right. But at the same time, if I want to like make my own music, which should always be at least part of the goal, I probably need to just pony up and get a bass. I don't mind using drums, is just like a completely other world.
Yeah.
But for something so familiar as a solid body instrument with strings and a neck, like I kind of have no excuse to not just have a kicker bass lying around,
I think it's funny too that as a guitar player, when you're doing something with like, I just need a bass. Like at the end of the day, you really just need a guitar. You don't need, a rack full of them. But when it comes to a bass, you're saying, I'll just get the cheapest. I'm a testament to that, because that's exactly what I did with my Jackson. I was just like, I need a bass to put in my songs. And I just was like, oh, this is cool, short scale, whatever. At the end of the day, again, I like it, but it took me up until someone actually sent me another bass to get
have another bass.
Exactly. Yeah. I bought a million guitars in between then. It's just such a funny thing that I always think about. But yeah, and I was going to say, with getting a bass, it opens up a bit more creativity, because if you start writing with the bass, which is like what I did with the Stritch video, I started writing with the bass because I was like, I need to write something that's going to be, kind of the standout part, at least in some parts of the little track that I did, to showcase the bass, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm not going to make, I put a guitar solo and stuff in it, but where it was appropriate. Whereas with other ones, I'll make the guitar like kind of the centerpiece, just because that's what I'm showing off, right? So with the bass, and it was something that I probably never would have written had I just said, oh, let me start with a guitar. So that's just food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can change. I've seen many guitar players on YouTube do videos about the benefits of, having a bass around and playing bass, or like you said, writing, with the bass line first. And it seems valid. But the biggest question is, does it belong in my bathroom?
I guess that's a personal journey that you need to go explore on. If anything, it can go into your laundry room.
It could.
It could.
I feel like maybe the laundry room is a place that the missus would like to not see any guitars, because they're kind of in every other room of the house.
Yeah, probably. I feel
I do. But I feel like the bathroom, there's plenty of wall space in there. I mean,
there is, yeah. And I mean, your phone's dead. You've already read all the shampoo bottles. I mean,
might as well beady.
Right.
Drop some bass lines while you're dropping something else,
There you go. Yeah. See, you got it. You got it. All right. Yeah. So, sorry, I've just been wanting to like.
Oh, go ahead. Do it up, bro.
Feeling jazzy today. But, so I've not made a full length video on this topic that I want to talk about next, because I'm not as well versed in it, but it came to me as kind of a shock, and maybe it's old news by now, but the how do you say his name, Giacomo, that dude, that guy's situation, it seems like I want to say at least every year we have like the new version of that, and I don't know. I always hate it because then it goes back into being in this space of like, can you trust influencers? And I hate that term. I hate to call myself an influencer. I got called an influencer the other day and I wanted to die. But seriously,
it's kind of become lame.
It's become a lame, like, I don't want to say derogatory thing, but it's just like if someone's, oh, you're an influencer. It's like, no, don't. Like even YouTuber is kind of becoming
girl who goes hiking, you know,
right? Like I'm okay with YouTuber, what I think, but yeah, it's just certain words. I'm just like, oh my god, but yeah, there brings up that issue that it always seems to do. And I actually got a comment the other day that I wanted to bring up too, that kind of tied into that. I need to find it word for word because it was funny, but it was on an older video of mine. Here we go, on my PRS SECE video from a while back. This guy said, I wish I could find a video on this guitar that wasn't such a PRS glaze fest. I can't tell if they're just that good or the review is a little biased. To which I'm like, first off, I bought the guitar myself, so I'm under no obligation to say anything. But even, again, I've said it time and time again, even if it's something is sent to me, if it's bad, I'll tell you. I have numerous examples on my channel where you can figure that out. But I don't think that I, like, slobbed anybody's knob on that one. Honestly, I don't think I was like, you know,
no shilling, no
right. I wasn't. I don't know what it was. I was just like, yeah, you know, it's really cool. But my whole thing was like, I'm not really a PRS guy. Like I've never really clicked with a PRS all that much. If anything, between that one and like maybe the Silver Sky SE, I was like, you know, yeah, they're good, but they're not really things that I kept around all that long.
I would go so far as to say that most guys are not really PRS guys, and maybe that's because we don't have access to the upper echelon.
I was going to say, yeah, that was going to be my
theory.
Because
their top tier stuff does appear pretty amazing. Super Danger just reviewed one of those ash body hollow body joints, you know, with the PRS shape on it.
Yep.
Or maybe it wasn't a hollow body. It wasn't a hollow body. It was a solid body, like McCarty ash, swamp ash. Holy crap!
Huh?
So good looking, and like, you know, just big thick grain streaks in it, you know, and really beautiful. And they do make beautiful stuff, but at the same time, it's like their cheap stuff is apparently incredibly consistent. And so I'm not surprised that somebody who's not a PRS guy would grab a PRS and be like, this is a guitar that plays correctly. You know, I mean, which is basically what I got from your video. It's like, this is fine. Like, this is good.
Right. Know? And that's kind of where like I sit with the SE range. Like, and PRS is such a unique beast because they are literally, they're one of those guitar brands that at the top end, they're just like ridiculously expensive to the point where it's like Fender and Gibson can't really compete with. Like, you obviously have things like the Murphy Lab stuff from Gibson, but PRS is always like, well, I've got this freaking wood library that's like $15,000, so your move, Gibson. Which I kind of hate that for us. I hate that for us because we're just going to be like, oh, great, now we really can't afford this stuff. But their low end stuff, it's like you said, that's the great way to say it, is they're always consistent. I don't know if I've ever really picked up an SE because I've played a million of them. And I can't think of one that comes to mind where I'm like, this could be better, because they are consistently at least good or good enough for anybody to pick up and say like, this is a guitar that plays and performs as it should. But I don't know. Maybe it's because, now I will say this. I messed around with a couple of S2s, was a couple years ago, and I toyed with the idea of getting one of those. But I don't know. There's something about PRS, both the single cut and the, you know, standard PRS shape, that I don't vibe with. Specifically, oddly enough, the single cut. I really have never found a single cut shape other than the Mark Tremonti. That one was pretty good, but other than that one, I've not found a single cut from PRS that I really was like, wow, this is incredible, and totally worth spending almost $3,000 on.
I would even go as far as like the Mark Holcomb is the only McCarty shape or whatever their, you know, the PRS shape.
Yep.
Was it the that I've ever touched and liked as well. I mean, I think PRS has a vibe, and it's pretty standard no vibe.
Right.
Like their vibe is no vibe at all. Like their vibe is Apple Store. Like that, they are the
Basically.
Apple Store of guitars. And
Right.
that's okay. Like, because it always plays good. So if you're a stage musician and there's a particular song where your Gibson or Tele just doesn't really like to be on, you can grab a PRS for $500-600 and it'll probably play in tune and do what you want it to do, basically in almost every circumstance. And you would just use it on a couple of things, and it's a tool. That is, PRS is the definition of guitars are tools.
Exactly.
Because like every other guitar is not a tool. They're fun, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, PRS, they are a perfect workhorse kind of thing. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think a lot of what turns me off from PRS, and this is going to sound so trivial and dumb, is Paul himself. It's I respect the man so much for being like, I want to create perfection. Like I want this to be perfect, and his the way that he works, his mindset is crazy, right? But
yeah,
it's the stances on things like, you know, the forbidden word tonewood, because I'm notably not a very big tonewood believer, but you know, that's fine, whatever. But then whenever you started seeing things like, we're replacing the tuning buttons for better tone, I was just like, I've lost kind of all interest at that
I'm
point.
out.
That was
I'm
the,
out.
That was the nail in the coffin, because I'm like, I'm not going to go with my, you know, last year's model $5,000 PRS whatever, and then someone say, oh, that sounds like shit because you don't have the new tuning knob button. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, do you hear yourself right now? Like, to me, that is so crazy. It's so absurd, and I don't want to get into that. I'm literally here as like, if I'm going to pick up a PRS, I want it to be a workhorse, and I want you to just see me as like, oh, here's a dude turning up to, not that I go out and go do all this stuff, but if I did, look at it and just say, oh, like, that's a pretty guitar. That's about the extent.
I would just say, like, to me, I think we're all, probably everybody in the guitar community is in agreement about what PRS is, what they're for, who they're for, like all that stuff. It's like, we don't need to pretend that your brand is, you know, has the same provenance as, you know, a Gibson or a Fender. And also most of us don't care about that either. You know, it's like,
right.
I don't really care, you know, like Ubi just said, you know, what should but often doesn't set apart the big names and budget makers at the sub 500 price point is build quality. And that actually makes a ton of sense. Like, if you're going to be Fender, or, you know, and have Squire and make a sub $500 guitar, it probably damn well should be the best sub $500 guitar that's a bolt-on in the whole market. And they kind of achieve that in some spots, like that J Mascis Jazzmaster is really good. You know, so some, you know, the Classic Vibe series has a very good reputation, though super, super heavy. But and then Gibson, like Epiphone, sometimes can do that. You know, like your what was it? Your 50s series P90 Les Pauls.
Yeah, the 56 things. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, those were like another level of good from Epiphone.
Right.
And they
should
knew
be
they
hitting
were like
that mark
500.
all the way, you know. And I think that PRS actually kind of does do that sub $500. Like, you're going to get a very well built, quality, consistent instrument, but they're not maybe the brand you would expect that from necessarily. I don't know.
But here's the thing. But
we got off on a tangent here. You had a different point entirely.
Well, that's what I was going to try to segue back into. I was going to say, but does any of this matter what we're saying because we happen to put ourselves out on a platform showcasing or talking about the thing? It's like, does what we even say matter to people? Which it's like, you can kind of, I think it's to the point where you can kind of get on there now and tell if somebody's just kind of saying stuff because they need a paycheck, which I'm like, look, do you, if you got to eat, like eat, you know, but
feed your babies.
Right. But it's like, I'm not with me again. And I say this all the time. It's a different situation because I do this for fun. I don't have to do this to pay my mortgage or whatever. It's like, this is pocket money that I use to just fund the whole thing, keep the machine going. But it's like, if I wanted to stop tomorrow, I could. And it's like, doesn't matter what I say. You have all my other videos to look at and you can judge it for yourself. I really don't care. But I do care enough about my reputation, I guess, or like my character that I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get on here and lie to you, especially when some of my videos do get thousands of views sometimes, considering how small I am. But I don't know. To me, it's just like, I think it's harder to trust the bigger guys, especially when you know that they're getting sent bigger things that maybe some people, like if they got sent a PRS, but if they got sent like a standard something or whatever, or an S2 or whatever, I think S2s are like the cheaper American ones, but you get what I'm saying. I don't know. It's such a gray area sometimes, but you can tell who's kind of being a little too whatever. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you, maybe it's a side street to go down here, but like Instagram, has that made you like the Instagram reel phenomenon? So, specifically in this case, like Giacomo, who is like the new Ashley Simpson, who was the new Milli Vanilli, who, it's just like, okay, we get it. Like, the industry does miming. That is very common. I think Rick Beato, who's not everybody's favorite, but I watched a video on this from him, and, it's like, that's like the whole thing. Like they pre-record the entire Super Bowl halftime.
Yeah, I watched that same
music.
video. It was,
and that's fine. Like I don't think most people have a problem with it. No, most people don't care until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But like stealing IP is pretty egregious.
That's frowned upon across the board.
Yeah. Slightly frowned upon. We do not promote or and I just feel like slowing something down to halftime so that you can make it look like you're nailing it. That's pretty bad. I think there's enough honest guitar players out there, on YouTube that you don't have to subject yourself to that. And I think that's kind of the Giacomo backlash, was just like, well, we don't want that. Like, that's not what, if I want to watch AI, play a guitar solo, I can type that into freaking Chat GPT or whatever. And it just kind of seems like unnecessary. Like, we don't need that. Nobody needs that. Like, I want to watch actual guitar players be what they actually are for the most part. Like, so, I mean, miming, again, we are all fine with miming. We are not fine with people ripping off, somebody else's brain trust,
Yeah.
Real quick, just a couple comments. Like to get to the point of being monetized, make a few hundred a month. Yes, Tim, that is true. I mean, Jonathan's monetized. He doesn't fall victim to this stuff. You actually just did the re-review of that pedal board. Remind me of the brand.
Gitto.
Yeah, Gitto pedal board, where you had actually, this was interesting. It was not a re-review in terms of your opinion. It was a re-review in terms of your application of the product, which I thought was kind of a stand-up move on your part. And that just goes to show you that that can go both ways. A brand can ask you to kiss their ass all over the internet about their product. You don't have to do that. At the same time, if you have a product that you actually do like and or believe in, and you've sort of like what you did, where you just use the one clip instead of two, 4 per, you use 2 per pedal instead of 4. And then, you go on there and do the right thing. And I think that's, you know, another testament, even though that kind of worked in the opposite direction of, because it's just like we don't need to hate every product, to be honest.
Right.
You can be honestly liking something and it's totally fine, you know. But and then as far as like, you know, monetization, you know, I watch I don't know, I think Brian, I think you're monetized at Searching for Tone. He has a few, he gets stuff from Stritch as well. Got a pedal board and reviewed it, and it looked awesome. That big giant thing. And he said earlier they actually offered him the bass, but he already had a Leo James bass on staff, so he decided to go with the pedal board. But I digress. You know, if you can make a little bit of cash for your efforts, I think that's a good thing. But I think you're right about like the bigger guys are just, what's that difference in class? Like, you're not really living down here with the rest of us. You're getting stuff from Fender Custom Shop. You're probably in a different stratosphere at that point. So
right. I mean, even if it's like a loner thing, like I know a good example is In the Blues. You know, In the Blues is the Australian guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Shane. Yeah, he's
Shane.
awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
The only lefty I'll watch.
Right. I like Become the Night too. He's kind of cool. But so what was I saying? Oh, so he gets a lot of stuff from that Sky Music, which I think is an Australian. I would assume it's an Australian thing. But he gets a lot of stuff loaned from them. But the thing is like, he's a bigger YouTuber, but I trust his opinion more. Not because he's getting it loaned, but it's just because the dude seems like he's really genuine. But then it goes to say, well, what if something's being loaned to you? Do you still trust their opinion if they're saying like, oh, you know, they gave it to me to review for you guys, but I'm sending it back? Does that make it more valid that you're not keeping it? Because I mean, I watched something earlier that he did. It was an older video, but I was just checking some stuff out, and he was like, you know, yeah, it's on loan. No money's changed hands. I'm not being paid for it. They just gave me the guitar, make the video, and it's like, does that make it more honest, or does that help at all? You know, that you're not being paid or you're not keeping the product, versus if someone like me says, yeah, Silvertone sent this out and I get to keep it for my efforts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make my review of this dishonest or biased because they're paying me with a guitar to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a bunch of questions that people seem to bring up.
It's a glittery silver baritone guitar. It sounds awesome. I don't really know how you can fudge the numbers on that, you know. Right. And it's also like the eye of the beholder. Like, there are so many people out there that are just quick to say shill, you know. They like, if you get anything for your efforts, then you're no longer valid at any point. And I find that to be just wholly untrue. I've seen Ryan at 60 Cycle Hum just absolutely drag guitars through the mud before over, you know, poor quality.
Where he's like sawing it in half and saying like, let's see if it'll survive if I do this. Boom.
Oh, that was so funny.
It didn't do that.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, stuff like that. And it's
he's like that's what you like to see. He's like breaking the truss rod out. He's like, see that right there? That's what you like to see, right?
But then Glenn Fricker throws a Marshall code off the roof of a building, and then people are like, you could have gave that to a kid that. Ugh, I hate that comment. You should have donated.
You could have, but it's trash. So why?
Right. And I hate that comment too. When people say that
it's also his to do with what he wants.
Yep.
You know?
And it's so funny when people say that kind of stuff. Like, why didn't you donate it, or why didn't you give it to me, or something? It's like, well, first off, who are you? Yeah. Right. Secondly, it's like, yeah, it goes back to what you say. If it's trash, I'm not going to give it to somebody if I know that no one could benefit from. I've got a guitar that I got from a yard sale that I thought was kind of cool. I bought for $10 like 2 years ago, and I thought like, I can set this up. It's trash. It's garbage. It's just an acoustic guitar.
Can't do it.
Right. So I'm like, I could smash this thing. I could do whatever. We're gonna do some kind of art thing with it, I think, at some point in time. But it's just like, yeah, if someone saw that and said, why didn't you just get? Well, the truss rod is stripped. You can't do anything with it. So the neck is literally like this the entire time. You know, it's like, why would I give that to a kid to try to learn on?
You're just punishing them.
You're punishing them. You're gonna kill some kid's spirit from wanting to play guitar at all. And then you try to say, well, why don't you do it? And then there's always that, well, I have before. It's like, have you though? Like, there's
That's why I
always
got,
that,
we had that Flying V roadie that my son was playing. And that's why I got him the Epiphone power players, because literally the roadie would not stay in tune. And the short scale, like it literally was a toy.
Yeah,
it's a toy. I still have it. It's his first guitar. I'm going to keep it, for sentimental purposes, but like it was a toy. And it's like, realistically, like if I want him to actually pick up the guitar, I'm going to have to get him something that stays in tune, sounds decent, that the amp, I had that little Black Star JJN amp. Cool little thing. But, the Black Star that my dad sent him, the ID core, sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this is like, he can do his stuff with this. Like he can learn, and he was into it. So, I mean, I think some of it's like you're saying, like more of a deterrent for learning if it's, if it sounds bad, if it plays bad. Real quick, Brian touched on Searching for Tone, it does suck for us little guys that are honest when people build their channel up not honestly, and the ones who knowingly lie about something because you give it a bad review, you get comments like you just suck or whatever. Right. I mean, it is, I've watched your channel grow from, I think I jumped on, we were sub 500 maybe at Electric Flamingo when I first got on the train. So I like days. I was there at their first show, man. Like I'm that guy, I'm like, what would you call it? A hipster Electric Flamingoan. But I literally did, like, I saw, and I was like, this guy seems cool. Like you were doing reviews, you were paying for your own, and you built this channel through honesty, hilarity. Speaking of which, your intro on the bass, new bass day, baby. I was laughing so hard. Like, dude, that was great. That was so funny. I need to use my sense of humor in my videos more. I'm terrible about that, but you nailed that. That was so funny. But yeah, that's why I always liked your videos. They were funny. You were honest. You did the whole, like, I'm going to roast the comments section in this video kind of thing. And everything just felt like very real. And I feel that way about all of the guys that I watch. I feel that way about 60 Cycle Hum. I feel that Ryan did it and Steve did it the right way. I was over there when they still had like maybe they had a couple grand, a couple K or whatever. I've been on their channel since like COVID days or whatever. But I think you can just tell. And I think with Giacomo, like his only interaction was ever like via Instagram, right? I mean, that's how he did it, was like he would type something, but it would just be him playing. He's not talking into a live mic or a hot mic. He's not plugging in an amp at a guitar store and ripping solo. Like it was none of that. It was always produced. It's always like AI camera angles and, and all this stuff. And it's just like, there's another guy online that has like long hair and he might be the best looking guitarist on Instagram. He's like young and skinny and has long curly hair and tattoos all over the place.
Plays PRS.
I think, yes.
I know you're talking about. I know his name, yes, I know you're talking about. He's always like sitting there and he's like
sitting on the ground.
Yeah, like sitting on the ground, like doing his like little faces like that. Yeah. Shit like that gets on my nerves. I'm sorry, it just does.
I don't like it either, but I will say this for that guy. I've seen him play live.
No, yeah, he can play.
He played the national anthem at a baseball game, I think. I've seen him do it live.
Yep.
And so, however, whatever I feel about their facade, if I've seen you do it, then I'm not going to be a hater on, and I don't hate. I don't hate on Giacomo either. It's just a topic for conversation, really. It's just kind of like, oh wow, I guess I don't like him for ripping people off.
Oh yeah.
That is a sidebar on that. But as far as like, the way his videos looked and everything seemed pretty cool. But when you find out somebody's stealing, then that's the line right there.
Here's my whole thing. I don't understand why anybody goes down the route of like the whole fake it till you make it thing. Because the problem is when you make it and you have things where you're like, oh, Sweetwater contacted me and we're gonna go do this big collaborative thing at Sweetwater where we have all these other cool YouTube guitarists and just musicians in general that aren't on YouTube that I know
Sweet
can play.
Stock, bro.
Right. Now I'm going to be there when I know I can't play anything or I can't play near as well as I've portrayed myself.
Right.
Why
bad.
put yourself in that situation? Because what do? You say, no, I'm not. I don't feel like doing that. No, you're going to go. You're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, just unless there are circumstances
you're going to go
where
and just play shittier than people thought you were. And
well, and here's my thing too.
Say, oh, my bad, man. I had an off day. The flight was long. My dog died, or like whatever. Make some excuse. My dog ate my homework. But, he got Rick Beato really did everybody a service on that. He's like, I had him over to film a video, and he couldn't play well enough for me to put up the video.
Right. So he just didn't do it, and it's like,
damn, dude, that's great. And he didn't even drag him through the mud for that. Like, he didn't even tell anybody that until after all this came out, Right. So, credit to him. He was just going to let it slide, but
here's another point. Here's another point too. Yeah. Do you know Levi Clay?
Let me look.
If you don't know who he is, he's kind of cool. His big thing is transcribing music, so he writes like books and tablature and all that other kind of stuff, and that's kind of what he does. And he's like a music teacher too, kind of thing. But he had said back when, I forget who it was, back when the whole, I think it was like the Lucas Man, all that kind of stuff, Rings of Saturn guy, when that happened, he had kind of done the same kind of deal where he was like, yeah, you're on stage like clearly faking playing and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm just like, it goes back to my point of like, why fake it till you make, why get up there and do that? But he had some good points about that too. Just to, I don't know, name drop other channels. I don't know if he still really does YouTube as much, but I know years ago he had stuff on that when it came out.
Yeah. I haven't seen him, so I don't think he's like super active, in the recent years, but and Tim makes a good point here. I think doing a live at the local open mic, probably he means filming it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does. Is a cool way to show that you're for real. I think that's a good point. I like I guess I'm kind of at a point now where I don't care. Oh, my old bass player's here. Dieter plays, laughing at the title, Do Basses Belong in the Bathroom? Not your bass, Dieter. That was actually going to be a second point, was like, yes, I can buy a bass and I can lay down single note line bass, tracks on my, home recordings or whatever.
Yeah.
But I played, and this actually was something I was going to bring up. I have played with exceptional bass players before, and I have the recordings to prove it. Like, what am I going to do that's going to fulfill anything that I've already experienced? Like, as far as, it would be better if I knew a bass player and had them just go on there and record something themselves.
By exceptional, do you mean that they know how to change the strings, right?
Exceptional meaning like Dieter can play Lacquerhead and sing it at the same time.
That's a rarity these days.
Yeah. So I just it maybe belongs in the bathroom at my house, but maybe not at an actual bass player's house. Who knows what they should be doing with it?
Right.
Dude, I have something to unbox.
Nice.
Should we do it?
You should.
All right. Just showed up today. Let's see if I flip that around. Get the old
Unboxing music.
Dieter, I did play bass on Brohim, and you can tell. I played with a pick, if that's any indication.
Oh,
Although
God.
Brohim by Pennywise does actually warrant using a pick on the bass, I believe.
You're brave
right.
for admitting that you play a pick bass, because
Yes, see, this is the shortest scale bass of all time that we're unboxing right now.
not a dumble.
Not a dumble.
Nice. We were expecting that. Well, you were anyway. We're expecting the video on it.
Yes, there will be a video on this. I believe my boys are gonna help me build it, because that's kind of the theme of this whole deal. Is I was actually gonna have them help me build the Nauticlon, but I ended up doing that on my own. So I thought this was another opportunity to do that. Plus, they're a little older now, so their motor skills have improved.
Yeah, that helps.
Not their attention span, but their motor skills for sure. Yeah, so that is a video. That's not the next video I'm going to do. My next video is going to be the review of the Robert Baker 80s Licks course, and I've committed myself to doing that next. So,
as you should.
What do you got coming up, brother?
So the thing that I showed you earlier, no spoilers there. I got that coming up at some point. That'll be a bigger deal. So y'all stay tuned for that. I did order something else that should be here on my birthday, surprisingly. So good timing. May 20th is the day that I was graced on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I got?
Anything you can share with the class?
Checking my board.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of that's cool. Okay, yeah. So I got some Joyo products coming. Still waiting on those. I have another Guyker product that I'm working on. I'm trying to think of stuff that I've got going. So I've got another Guyker product they sent me. It's a bridge, wraparound tailpiece bridge that I put on my Youngblood SG Junior that should be coming up soon. I did a wireless mic system from Joyo. That was one of the products that they were going to send. So I did more of, because I do my DJ stuff outside of my regular work and everything. So I did it where I took it, and I'm trying to run 2 speakers at once and all that other kind of stuff. Because the guy that I work for, funnily enough, has the same wireless system that I have. And we kind of got it at the same time. So I tried to run them in tandem one time, and they didn't really work. I guess they interfered with each other. So I was like, well, this is like the updated version of the one that I have. So I was like, well, let me see if they work. Surprised they do. So I did that and showcased that. And then I have a who was it? Was it Stritch? It might have been Stritch. No. It was Ulamac with that aroma amp that I did. They have another wireless mic thing. So it's the same kind of concept, which I like to have that kind of stuff because, I just like to have backups and all that other kind of stuff. But stuff like that, nothing really guitar too guitar related until the Joyo stuff comes in. But
that's cool though. There's singers that guitar players that sing and stuff like that. So I mean, all that's good. I mean, the wireless stuff we had back when I was like, 20, 21. Mm-hmm. I remember my dad gave me like a wireless thing, and you've done those like wireless guitar plugins where it was like they're this big, or like hold on, like on my Pod Go, like this goes into my guitar on my Pod Go, and it lasts like 4 hours. Where like the one my dad gave me, I remember test driving it at an old biker bar out in like Post Falls or Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We had a gig out there opening for a psychobilly band, and I was trying out the wireless thing, and I could go to the end of the bar like it was really strong, but it was like I had a pack, like a pack on my hip, and then it plugged into the guitar, and then there was like a freaking cable box on top of my amp.
Wow.
That like had 2 antenna sticking out of it,
Right,
like an old receiver. And so the fact that like, I mean, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth really like changed the whole shit up, because you didn't have to do like radio signal now, and
Right.
And so they've definitely come a long way. So I'll be interested to see what those microphone setups are like.
Yeah, they're
Thanks,
like I
Jim,
said, they're the
coming in.
plug-in. I mean, they're pretty simple, but I mean, if they're affordable and they are built well, and like you got pretty good range on them. I mean, it's really all you kind of need, So, and as long as they can work together too. But anyway,
that's cool.
I've not shown this yet. I do have one more thing.
Oh.
I've been going back and forth on. Let me turn my tune around so you don't. So check this thing out.
Ooh. What's that?
It is. Have you heard of the brand Rogue before?
No.
Okay, so Rogue is a. Rogue is a house brand for Musician's Friend. So that's like their Harley Benton, right? And they make like stupid cheap stuff. Like their brand new guitars are on sale regularly for like $79. Look at the Rocketeer. You've probably seen them if you've ever browsed before. This is a Rogue, and this is like, I guess what would be their top end. But when they were brand new, they were like $200. And I saw this browsing one day. I've had it for a little while, and I've been trying to make the video on it, but every time I've made a video on it, it's been weird. But it's called the Lipstick, as far as I can tell. And it literally has 3 lipstick pickups, 5-way switch, 1 volume, 1 tone. Comes stock with Grover tuners. I got it for $99, and I actually got some money back because the output jack was just not there when I got it. So after I set it up and everything, I was like, okay, plug it in. Why won't it go? No output jack. But this thing is like stupidly good for what it is. I mean, it's got, let me see if I can just real quick. Where'd my setting go? I'm using my Pocket Master, so if I'm hoping it's in tune. I think the noise gate's still on that, but
yeah,
it sounds good. I mean, but it plays like okay, if you called it a $200 guitar brand new, this is probably the best $200 guitar I've like ever played ever. It's to come from that brand, and I think that's where I keep trying to not put all that in the video, because if I do just sit there and ramble on about this thing really is so cool and just that good, it's going to be like an hour-long video, and I try to get past that. But it's so weird and bizarre and out there. I've never seen one of these before. Yeah, I was like, I gotta have it. And when I set it up and everything, I was like, everything works. Wow, like it's crazy. It's just like the most unique thing. It's just so cool. I don't know.
Yeah. Yossi brings up the headstock's got a bit of a PRS vibe to it.
Yep.
A little bit.
Yep.
Little Music Man, little PRS in there somewhere, something like that.
And it matches. It's a matching headstock.
Yeah, matching headstock.
So I mean, it's like, it's beautiful, man. But it's the in between sounds are just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll do it more justice when I actually get around to making the full video on it. But that'll come out at some point, maybe way down the line. I've already filmed the Make Guitars Shred Again, that whole thing. This was a perfect candidate for that.
Oh yeah.
And I've got that scheduled for like sometime in freaking September. But Maybe I'll move it up. I don't know. Subscribe and you'll figure out when it comes out. But yeah, so there's
That's
that.
right.
That's pretty much all I got.
Nice, man. Oh, well, yeah, I'll be playing some slightly better guitar than usual due to my lessons course completion. Friday night live as usual. So tomorrow night we'll go live super late. If anybody wants to come hang out. And I think last week, I don't know if Dieter's still here, but last week we actually played some of my old music on the stream just so I could relive my glory days. But that was kind of fun.
I got a chat on my side, not to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good.
What does that say? Sorry, my chat's not working on my iPad. I think it says Play Gibson. Hi, buddy. He says, can't wait to meet you tonight. Are you the one buying one of my guitars tonight that I'm meeting you? I found out I got a lot of local subscribers.
That's awesome.
I put it on Facebook. They're like, yeah, I've been subscribed to you. Yes, he says, I am. See you later, buddy. Glad to know we're still on for 6:30.
Got to do a little selfie and post on the Electric Flamingo IG.
Like, I got a local fan. Yeah. He says, he also said on top of that, he said, it's a little heavier than I would have expected it to sound. Yeah. If you're talking about this, yeah, it's got a barkiness bite to it.
It
but
shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because it's lipstick.
And this was, sorry, I know I keep going back to it again. This is what I'm talking about with this thing. It's got 2 strap buttons on it. That was a stock thing.
I've seen that before.
I've never seen that before. So you can put your strap wherever you want to, and it's like, that's so weird.
Well, some guitar straps have like multiple button holes in them.
Right.
Like, and it's meant to go up by the neck where you can adjust it, you know, like I'm short, so I can have it, or I like to play, you know, like that. Mm-hmm. It's, but I could see it like if you just flipped it around, you could. But how heavy is it? I mean, does it weigh 1,000 pounds?
This thing, yeah, it's actually very heavy.
Okay,
it's like a
so maybe that's
heavy.
why.
It's crazy, and I didn't expect that when I got it but I mean, it's like a big solid. I mean, like it's thick, but it's got some. I don't know. It's
big boy.
It's such a strange instrument, but it's one that I'm very thankful to have, and that I found it because I was like, I don't know. I'm always about, you know me, I'm always about unique. I'm just like, the crazier the better, and this is probably the wildest one I've ever had. So, not to keep making it about me.
All good, brother. All right. Well, I think we probably solved all the world's problems.
Absolutely. As we do every, used to be Wednesday, but now Thursday.
Now we do it on Thursday. So everybody has to wait one day longer for all the problems to be solved.
How will they survive? I know. I can't wait. I can't wait to hop on here every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, that's right. Nailed it.
Nailed it every single time. I'll get there where it rolls off the tongue one day. But so to everybody that hopped in at some point in time, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it as always. Like I said, we're going to be running Thursdays for now, unless we have to hop on a random Tuesday or something and that works, then maybe we'll change it to Tuesday because we're unprofessional and inconsistent like that. But we're going to try our best to do that.
Yeah, we do what we want.
We do what we want, exactly. We're our own boss. Self-made 100 heirs. Maybe. If you even have $100. But anyway. All right, everybody. Yeah, y'all take care. We're gonna log off here, give you your time back, as corporate world would say. And
thanks for hanging with us today, and we'll catch you all next Thursday.
2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Y'all take care.
Peace out.